Hi everyone, my name is Aditya and here I am going to talk about the topic nucleus. The history is that the nucleus was discovered by a Scottish botanist, Robert Brown, in 1831, and the nucleus played a key role in fertilization and development of embryo in plants, and this name was derived from the Latin word for kernel or nut. So here I am going to talk about the characteristics of the nucleus. The nucleus, it is a membrane bound organelle that is found in the eukaryotic cells. So when we are comparing prokaryotic cell and eukaryotic cell, the eukaryotic cells has nucleus but prokaryotic cell does not have nucleus. So it is generally found in the central region of the cell. It is roughly spherical in shape. This is a roughly spherical in shape and it is mostly seen in organelles, and nucleus occupies 10% of the total cell of the volume. So this is roughly spherical in shape. So functions of the nucleus, they are so many functions and I have listed a few. So the first one is to store the genetic information, to control the gene expression and mediate the replication of DNA during the cell cycle. It is the control center of the cell, and they will synthesize RNA, and they will synthesize ribosomes also, and they will synthesize nearly all proteins by synthesizing RNA. And selective transportation, they have a nuclear pore, and through this nuclear pore the regulatory factors and energy molecules are transported. So selective transportation of regulatory factors and energy molecules through the nuclear pores. DNA replications occurs in the nucleus, which is then passed to the daughter cells. So you can see here the nucleolus, chromatin, nuclear envelope, endoplasmic reticulum, etc. It is you see here in this nuclear pores and all, you can see. The next one is the nuclear organization. It contains nuclear envelope, nuclear matrix and nuclear lamina, nucleoplasm, nucleolus and chromatin. So the next we are going to talk about the nuclear envelope. So the contents of nucleus are present as it has a viscous amorphous mass of material that is enclosed by the complex of nuclear envelope. So what is nuclear envelope? It is the boundary of the nucleus, right? And that will separate the contents of nucleus from the cytoplasm. If there is no nuclear envelope, what will happen? The contents of nucleus from the cytoplasm will get mixed. So this nuclear envelope gives a boundary to the nucleus for separating the contents of nucleus from cytoplasm. And this nuclear envelopes, it consists of two cellular compartments, that is the outer nuclear membrane and inner nuclear membrane. You can see the outer nuclear membrane, it is continuous with the endoplasmic reticulum, and inner nuclear membrane is also there, and they are separated by 10 to 50 nanometer, and that space is known as the perinuclear space. Nuclear envelope, they act as a barrier that prevents a free passage of molecules between nucleus and cytoplasm. So here you can see this is the nucleolus, this is the nuclear envelope. It has an outer membrane and an inner membrane which constitute the nuclear envelope. This nuclear envelope provides a structural frame for the nucleus. Here you can see that this is the nuclear envelope which contains outer membrane and inner membrane. It contains nuclear pore, nucleolus, nucleoplasm, chromatin and all. So here the thickness of each membrane is around 7 to 8 nanometer, and here you can see that this outer membrane, it is continuous with the endoplasmic reticulum in which ribosomes are attached. Here the blue color is the ribosomes that you can see, and that is attached to the endoplasmic reticulum, and it is continued from the outer membrane of nuclear envelope. So in this picture you cannot see the ribosome that is attached, but you can see that the outer membrane, it is continued with the endoplasmic reticulum, and the inner membrane, it has proteins and which bind underlying nuclear lamina. This is the lamina. and it has number of pores also. In this is the nuclear pore complex, and that number of pores it is known as nuclear pore complex. This is the nuclear pore complex. Here you can see the pores, and through this pores it is used to transport the molecules between the nucleus and the cytoplasm. And the nuclear lamina, it is a fibrous meshwork underlying the inner membrane. So the next one is the nuclear lamina. Here the inner surface of the nuclear envelope of animal cell is bound by integral membrane proteins to a thin filamentous meshwork, and they are called the nuclear lamina. Okay, and the nuclear lamina, they will provide mechanical support to the nuclear envelope, and it serves as a site of attachment for chromatin fibers at the nuclear periphery. The filaments of the nuclear lamina are approximately 10 nanometer in diameter, and it is composed of polypeptides, and they are called lamin. So mammalian cells has 3 lamin genes, that is A, B and C. So if there is any mutation in one of these genes, it is responsible for the number of diverse human diseases such as the muscular dystrophy, in which the muscle cells, it contains a fragile nuclei. The other disease is the Hutchinson-Gilford progeria syndrome, that is HGPS, and it is characterized by premature aging, death during the teenage years from heart attack or stroke. Next one is the nuclear pore complex. So, nuclear pore complex will transport the molecules between the nucleus and the cytoplasm through a channel. Only through channel they will transport the molecules. And this nuclear pore complex, it contains 30 different proteins, and they are called nucleoporins. Here each nucleoporin is present in multiple copies, that is 8, 16 or 32 in number. It is present in multiple copies, and it will be in it exhibits a octagonal symmetry due to the 8-fold repetition of a number of structures. So its diameter is 120 nanometer and molecular mass is 125 million daltons. Here small in the case here in nucleus, small molecules, that is from 20 to 40 kilodalton, it will diffuses, and the larger molecules that will transport it through this central channel. So nuclear pores, you can see this is the nuclear pores that contain a Duff-nut shaped structure. This is the Duff-nut shaped structure, and that straddles the nuclear envelope. This is the nuclear envelope. This is the outer and the inner nuclear envelope, you can see, and that will project into both the cytoplasm and the nucleoplasm. You can see the nuclear envelope, and you can it straddles the this nuclear pore complex will straddles a nuclear envelope, and it will project into both cytoplasm and nucleoplasm. So you can see here, this is the nuclear pore complex, and in the central channel it is surrounded by a ring of nucleoporins, and this nucleoporins that lines the central channel, it contains so many multiple phenylalanine repeats. So the phenyl, it is represented by F letter, and glycine, it is represented by G letter, so it is known as FG repeats. So this is the FG repeats, you can see here, this is the FG repeats, this is the transmembrane nucleoporin, and it lines the central channel. It contains the multiple FG repeats, that is phenylalanine glycine repeats. So this FG repeats are clustered in a particular region of each molecule, and they are called as FG domains. You can see here, this is the FG repeat domains of the FG nuclear porins. This is the FG repeat domains. Now the FG containing the nucleoporins line a central channel with their disordered, and FG containing domains extending into the opening and forming a hydrophobic meshwork. So here they form these FG domains. They will form a hydrophobic meshwork or a seal, so that they will block the larger molecules from diffusion. So the larger macromolecules like greater than 40,000 daltons, and and they will block the this macromolecules between the nucleus and cytoplasm. Here you can see that it contains 8 spokes, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. It contains 8 spokes that is arranged around the central channel. This is the channel, this is the central channel, and is arranged around the center. In addition, the fibrils that is protrude from both the cytosol, this is the fibrils that is protrude from the cytosol as well as from the nuclear sides of the nuclear pore complex. On the nuclear side, the fibrils converge to form a basket-like structure. You can see the basket-like structure. It is written here, nuclear basket. And the spokes are connected through the rings at the nuclear and cytoplasmic surface. The 8-fold rotation and the 2-fold transverse symmetry of the core nuclear pore complex explains how such a huge structure can be formed from only about 30 different proteins, and many of these proteins are present in 16 copies. That is, it will be in multiple copies as well. Next one is the nuclear localization signal. So we have to transport proteins, right? So the proteins that is needed to be transported to the nucleus have a specific amino acid sequence, and that specific amino acid sequence is known as nuclear localization signal. And this nuclear localization signal is located anywhere in the amino acid sequence, and they will form loops or patches on the protein surfaces. So it was first identified by Alan Smith and their colleagues, and it was identified in SV40, and it is a short sequence, as I told, and a nuclear localization sequence is a short sequence of amino acid that is rich in basic amino acid like lysine and arginine. So it is present as a single stretch or a bipartite sequence. So here the nuclear proteins that should be transported into the nucleus in the folded form through the nuclear pore complex. It should be transported in folded form to into the nucleus. But from the nucleus to the other organelles, the proteins have to be extensively unfolded. So here we are going to talk about the nuclear import. So to initiate the nuclear import, so most of the nuclear localization signals it must be recognized by the nuclear import receptors, and that would be encoded by a family of related genes. So each family members they will encode a receptor proteins for the transport of the subset of cargo proteins. So in this cargo proteins it contains nuclear localization signals to which the receptor can bind. So you can see here there are 3 different types of cargo protein, and for 3 different types of cargo protein they have 3 different types of nuclear localization signal also. This is the cargo protein 1, and the nuclear localization signal of the cargo protein 1 is this, and they will bind the nuclear localization signal of cargo protein 1 will bind to the nuclear import receptor. And you can see the cargo protein 2 their nuclear localization signals is different, and that also it is bind to the nuclear import receptor. So for each cargo protein it has different nuclear localization signals that you can see here. In the case of cargo protein 4, they requires an adapter protein. This is the nuclear import adapter protein. These adapters that is related structurally they are related to the nuclear import receptors, and they recognize the nuclear localization signals on the cargo protein. So this adapter protein recognize the nuclear localization signals of the cargo protein, and they also contain a nuclear localization signal that will bind to the nuclear import receptor. Okay, so the cell obtains the energy it needs for this process through the hydrolysis of GTP by the monomeric GTPase RAN. RAN is found in both the cytosol and the nucleus, and it is required for both nuclear import as well as export also. So here we are going to talk about the nuclear import process. So you can see a cargo protein here, and it has a nuclear localization signal. This nuclear localization signal is recognized by the nuclear transport receptor, which is known as importin, and by recognizing this importin, they will form the importin cargo complex. This complex of cargo protein and importin, they will docks with the cytoplasmic filaments of nuclear pore complex, and this complex moves through this nuclear pore complex and they will reach the nucleus. Once inside the nucleus, the RAN GTP, this RAN GTP bind to this complex and they will facilitate the release of the cargo protein, and they will form importin RAN GTP complexes. This importin RAN GTP complexes, after forming, it is transported back through the nuclear complex, and after reaching the cytoplasm, this GTP, it is hydrolyzed to GDP by releasing the importin, and this process goes on continuously, and this RAN GDP is transported back to the nucleus by its own transporter NTF2. So first, this cargo protein has a nuclear localization signal. It will bind to the importin. They form importin cargo complex and they will pass through the nuclear complex, and once it reaches the nucleus, it will bind to the RAN GTP and they will form RAN GTP importin complex, and at that time they will release the cargo protein and they will form importin RAN GTP complex, and they will transport back to the cytoplasm through nuclear pore complex, and in cytoplasm this GTP is hydrolyzed to GDP, in which this importin is released, and GDP is transported back to the nucleus by its own transporter NTF2. Here we are going to talk about the nuclear export. Here you can see that the proteins to be exported from the nucleus, it will have this cargo protein is the protein that is to be exported from the nucleus. This cargo protein is the protein that we have to export it from the nucleus, and this cargo protein, they will have a nuclear export signal, that is NES, and they will bind to exportin and RAS GTP, and they will form a complex RAS GTP, exportin and cargo, and this complex moves to the cytoplasm through this nuclear pore complex, and when they reach the cytoplasm, the GTP is hydrolyzed to GTP, and they will release the RAN GTP and cargo, and this exportin and RAN GTP are transported back to the nucleus. These exportins are monomeric and function in reverse importin under the control of RAN. So next is the nucleolus. So it is the largest structure that is present inside the boundaries of the nucleus, and it is in the center of the nucleus. It is dark staining zone, and here it is the site for RNA transcription and processing, and its main components are RNA, DNA and proteins, and they are also known as ribosome production factory, and the nucleus has a gene for 5.8S, 18S and 28S RNA. So the next one we are going to talk about is the chromosome and the chromatin. So first is that the chromosomes are composed of DNA. They are composed of DNA and associated proteins, and they together are called, the DNA and the associated proteins together are called the chromatins. And the orderly packaging of eukaryotic DNA depends on histones, and there are 5 types of histones named H1, H2A, H2B, H3 and H4. And Kornberg, they propose that DNA and histones, they are organized in repeating subunits, so they are called nucleosome. That repeating subunits are called nucleosomes, and the highly condensed chromatin, they are called heterochromatin. They are transcriptionally inactive, and the decondensed chromatin, they are euchromatin. They are transcriptionally active, and they are distributed throughout the nucleus. This is the book that I have referred. And thank you.